Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Canes Insight Daily Podcast. I am Peter Ariz, as always, bringing you an instant reaction to spring practice for Miami. Here from my car, right outside of Green Tree, just finished up the media viewing of the media portion of practice here. We get about half an hour a day, as this is spring practice number 3 for the Miami Hurricanes. And as always here, I'm doing a million things at once, so apologize if I'm not looking up at the camera the whole time. I'm looking down, trying to make sure I get to your questions, comments, all that. And as always, have some notes here I want to get to from just the little things that we can see out there. There's nothing, schematically that we can really tell out there. A lot of this stuff is positional work. Near the end of what we can see, we do get to see some, wide receivers, defensive backs go up against each other, stuff like that. There was a little bit more of the defensive line that we got to see today on our side of the field. Normally it's on the other side, kind of away from us. You can see body types and all that, but getting an up close view was very good for us media members today, just because we got to see them a little bit more up close. Have some recruiting stuff to get to as well here. But again, as always, these shows brought to you by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with the law offices of Anajar and Levine. So right off the bat, I mentioned the defensive line. Had a better look at them today. David Blay, transfer coming in from Louisiana Tech, really got a good look at him up close, and the defensive linemen were doing some drills where they were moving side to side, and you could see some of that movement. First of all, and I'm not just, this guy that I'm about to talk about was an all-conference performer for Miami last year, so production-wise was awesome, but just comparing him to Simeon Barrow, he's bigger than him and has, really good movement for that size. Barrow had great movement, great quicks, but you pair the size that Blay's bringing to the table with that movement, that athleticism, and I think he's going to be able to wreak havoc on the interior of that defensive line. Really excited about David Blay. I think that was one of the biggest pickups for Miami. Outside of Carson Beck, you could maybe say that was the biggest get. Obviously, a lot of big-time gets at defensive back, Xavier Lucas being one of them. But to me, Blay could be a real game changer on the D-line, which was okay last year. I think it was a bit of a disappointment based on the talent that they had, but bringing that body type to the table, and he was wanted by other big-time schools, to me was a huge, huge win for the Canes recruiting-wise. A couple young defensive linemen that are just passing the eye test, sticking out. Dante Simpson in that same drill, just really, we've talked about how he has some John Ford body type comparisons, massive, but his bend at that size too, and he's going to be an interior player, but just impressive. You have a lot to work with there. If you're Miami, need him to the body looks good, right? It's not just the weight room with him, but continue to develop as a football player. And hopefully he'll do that under Coach D. Lou. Justin Scott, another guy that we've mentioned, looks way bigger this year. And it's not just like when you look at him, he's got a bigger belly on him, which is a good thing. He needed that weight, but his legs, man, they look like tree trunks. He does not look like a basketball player right now, or a guy. He looked more like a former basketball player last year. Just that base that he's built, that foundation with the legs and the power that I think he's going to be able to generate through that. We know the sort of athlete he is, but Justin Scott, I mentioned him a couple times here in these instant reactions already, but today I got to get a real up close look at him. Really like the potential pairing of Blay and Justin Scott, and there's going to be other guys in the mix, obviously, but those two really sticking out to me for me right now. And I'm looking at the comments. Hopefully it's not frozen for anyone else. Just says Canes Cat C305 said he was frozen. So almost at 300 live right now. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel as we continue to go down some of my notes from today, talking about some of these defensive linemen. We've already talked about Hayden Lowe. I think he's someone who's well positioned to get himself in the mix for significant reps early on. Looking at the defensive backs, just a couple notes. Talk about Xavier Lucas, how good he's looked from the body type standpoint. Charles Brantley is someone who not going to wow you in terms of the size, right? But really sticky in coverage. A guy who, in terms of coverage skills, pound for pound, I think is has a chance that he's, getting a call here. Gotta turn that Bluetooth off here. But someone who is someone who has played a lot of football, healthy, and you stick him in the slot on a guy who maybe smaller, quicker. I think he can have a lot of success. I think that pickup, because you're going to face a lot of these offenses that are going to have a guy like that, and I think he's someone from a coverage standpoint that I'm really, really excited about. Again, not the biggest player in the world, but he had a good rep today against JoJo Trader, for example, where you can just see his ability to mirror a wide receiver. So let's see what else here. Recruiting wise, saw Justice Fitzpatrick, of course, the defensive back from St. Thomas Aquinas, Minka Fitzpatrick's brother. Him and Minka, so Minka was at practice with him today. They were following the defensive backs group very closely, as was Jalen Waters, of course, Miami, huge corner, defensive back target for Miami. Those two guys, Justice Fitzpatrick, Jalen Waters, the kid from Virginia, from Richmond, was also there. So these guys were following them closely. They came from outside at first and then came inside to the IPF, like they're following the defensive backs group around. So great to see those guys out there. Minka, it's cool to see him there with his brother, helping him through the process, and of course gonna help give him a good look at what's to come. So special teams, we actually got a bit of a look at special teams today, which was cool. We normally don't get that at the portion of practice that we get to see. Ray, some guys that were in the mix, it looked like a punt return drill to me. And some guys that were taking reps there, Ray, Joseph, Dalen Upshaw, Gerard Pringle, Malachi Tony were all in the mix. Ray had a couple good reps, man, and there was one in particular that Mario went over to talk to him and give him encouragement. It was a good job by him, and looks like he looks a little bit leaner to me, and I think in a good sense. He bulked up a lot last year. We talked a lot about his weight gain before the season last year, and looked like he had a little bit of extra wiggle to him, right? So I mentioned on the show Wednesday, not giving up hope on Ray just yet. But it was interesting to see some of those young guys getting in the mix. Dalen Upshaw, Gerard Pringle at running back, who has a really nice quicks to his game, and also saw him bounce off of a tackle. As I thought, it wasn't a full tackle out there, but like what he brings to the table potentially as a returner. And then Malachi Tony, all around baller, and someone that we've mentioned here already as someone we expect to take some reps early on at wide receiver, without a doubt. So that was pretty much everything that caught my attention today. Let me take a look at see some of these questions. See if there's anything I should get to here. Brandon asking about Armando Blunt. Obviously someone who's progressing. The body type still, I think, got to figure out what, probably more of an N than a D tackle. Doesn't look like a defensive tackle to me, and has active hands. So progressing, getting better, but I'm not ready to say that he's the guy there, right? So Mesidor, Bain, I think still the guys who are pretty solid there at defensive end, and then got to get some of these young guys to push them, really, because I think the standard needs to continue to be raised there. And I think that room is they're aware of it. So we'll see what happens this year. Excited for some of these young bucks to get in the mix. So guys, as Brandon asking, is D going to be on later? I believe we might be doing something bank related. So that, that'll be more of his show with the recruiting updates, but keep it locked here on Canes Insight. Appreciate everyone who joined us today for getting these instant reactions from spring practice. Hit that like, subscribe to the channel. Go Canes.